Hello, my name is Kokomo Giselle, the anchor of the video presentation of the assignment on good governance. We are going to discuss on the subtopics, which is first, the introduction of good governance, characteristics of good governance, importance of good governance, advantages of good governance, disadvantages of good governance, challenges of good governance. However, we are also going to see the governance and human rights, how they relate. Firstly, the person that will be introducing on good governance is Mr. Ashu.
Ashu Alfred is my name. I'm talking of good governance. Good governance is the process of measuring how public institutions manage their resources free from embezzlement, corruption, and all sorts of evil practices that engulf the society. While governance is the process of decision making and decision implementation. They are aim or objective of good governance. Number one is to eliminate practices that engulf the society, such as embezzlement, cheat, and fraud. Two, to act as good delivery to the citizen in the country. Three, good governance also will ensure the role in which people they engulf their life and how they live their life in order to approve good standard of living. Good governance, one of the achievement or aim also is to see that peace reign in the community and the people live in harmony. Thank you.
I am Shizo. I'm going to discuss on the characteristics and principles of good governance. There are 5 characteristics of good governance. We have participation, transparency, responsiveness, inclusive and equity, and lastly, efficiency and effectiveness. Firstly, participation. Participation as an aspect of good governance. It requires that all the organizations and boards overall become equity and also diverse. Diverse board of directors ensure that each member has a voice. That is, each member has the right to participate in the decision-making process of corporate organizations. Secondly, we discuss on transparency. All recording and processes are supposed to be presented in a transparent document. Here, they make sure that materials, financial records presented are free from material misstatements. That is, the financial statement recorded and presented are having a true and fair version of the organization. This is also to eliminate exaggerated or inflated records. And lastly, I'm going to discuss on equity and inclusiveness. In equity and inclusiveness as a good characteristic of good governance, every member has the right to a seat in the board of directors meeting, and also every members have a right to give a say on the experience, opinion, and philosophy about what they think, so that they will enhance and lengthen the discussion so that good and very favorable decisions will be taken. Lastly, each member should not think that his or her own contribution is not meaningful. And we are going to look at the importance of good governance by Mofo Clinton. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mofo Clinton Gango, a group member of the civil group presenting on an assignment. So, on my part, I'm going to be talking on the importance of good governance. As my coursemate has already defined earlier, good governance has to do with strengthening pillars, building coming up with principles in order to maintain the good functioning of an organization, to maintain the good running of public affairs. So I'm going to be talking on 3 main importance of good governance, which the first one is going to be to strengthen and build confidence in the stakeholders. We all know that a dissatisfied group of stakeholders will not perform well in an organization. So in order to make sure that the stakeholders should perform well in an organization, the good governor, people make up the good governor how to build confidence in the stakeholders so that they will be motivated, so that it will enable them to be motivated and build up strengths for them to carry out the overall goal of the organization, which is attaining growth and sustainability and generating profit for the organization. The first one is going to be to build a strength and foundation for the organization that can perform well in the future. So the achievement and sustainability of the organization depends on what the stakeholders, the input that the stakeholders put in order to maintain the organization to grow well in the future. So the board of directors or the the governing body of the organization has the right to. They have the power, the willpower to bring in resources, leadership skills, um, and encouragement to build in confidence in the stakeholders in order to maintain the growth and sustainability of the organization. And lastly, I'm going to be talking on how the organization can sustain, how the organization can continue growing in an environment that is fast changing, that is dynamic, let me say so, that is changing due to technological changes and so on. How does the organization adapt to changing in the environment? So we know that the environment is made of two types, the internal and the external environment. Now, due to changing in technology, things are changing every day. How does the organization manage to sustain these changes? Now, with good governance bring in leadership skills, as Ayla mentioned, leadership skills that sustain the stakeholders of the organization achieving their long-term goal. So, at the end of the day, what we can conclude is that the organization, the mission of the organization does not really end at the top level, that is the board of direction and so on. Every stakeholder has the right to partake in the growing, in the building of the organization, So the call here is all the stakeholders have a mission to build and strengthen the organization. So good governance is a good aspect, but it should start at the bottom level. It should start at the base, that is with the stakeholders. Thank you very much.
We are going to also discuss on the advantages of good governance by Mark Clotilda.
I'm called Mark Lutilda. I'm here to talk on the advantages of good governance. Firstly, good governance ensures equitable and redistributions of income such that the poor can benefit from the rich. Secondly, when there's implementation of good governance in a country, a lot of activities go on well, especially when economic activities is well structured and managed. Thirdly, when there is good governance in a country, good governance promotes equality, thereby giving rooms for citizens to give their contributions and suggestions so that the country can move forward. Lastly, good governance. The presence of good governance ensure financial sustainability. Thank you.
Discuss next on the disadvantages of good governance by Tabe Wesley.
My name is Tabe Wesley, and I'll be talking on the disadvantages of good governance. First, it misleads reports. Now, with good governance, it misleads the investors with the way they factually and accurately present their financial statements. So it makes the investor to feel like it is very expensive for them to penetrate. And second, we talk of the good governance producing inclusive markets for the entrepreneurs and the investors, since good governance itself is extensively and intrusively expensive. So we talk about the next one, which is it separates ownership and management. Since some people who have large positions and others who don't have any positions, it doesn't go down with division of labor. So it makes good governance itself a very bad practice to adopt.
Nextly, challenges on good governance by Tak Clarice.
My name is Tak Clarice, and I'll be outlining some challenges of good governance. Firstly, good governance requires a sizable class and is not sizable in the poor parts of the country. Secondly, good governance requires a competitive democracy, and this democracy is not possible, has not been evolved in some of the parts of the country. And lastly, good governance requires an economic or governance interest, and this is not possible if they focus on the religious part of governance. Thank you.
Lastly, Blessing Hongla is going to talk on how human rights relate with good governance. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Ahongla Blessing. I'm here to talk about how human rights interrelate with good governance. Now, firstly, how the government can come in order to help customers. The government comes in the regulatory framework which helps the individuals in order to buy at a very low prices. The government comes in the regulatory framework by bringing subsidies to firms in order to help them to produce and sell to customers at a very low price. Thank you.
Conclusively, we have documented factual data on introduction to CVE, governance, bad governance, and our main core, good governance. Thank you, audience.
Action.
As a group leader, I want to give the hint of governance. From our definition of governance, objective of good governance, characteristics, advantage and disadvantages, and government regulation of prices in the market to favor consumers. Governance is therefore married with both positive and negative aspects. Thank you.